So we're talking about coilovers today. Which one should you get? I live in a zoo. Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I'm not dead. It's good to be back in front of the camera speaking to you guys. It has been too long. Yes, it has been 2 months rather than my weekly uploads. It's been about 8 weeks rather than a weekly upload. I want to apologize before getting into the video. I had a big video planned. It was about an hour long. I worked quite hard on it to get it filmed and edited and camera angles and all that, and it just didn't work. It wasn't to my liking, so it just ended up not coming out. It took about a month to do, and then I just wasn't happy with the product, and so maybe at a later date that video can come out to you, but for now it's scratched, and I apologize for the lack of content, but I am alive. A lot of things in life has changed, jobs have changed, life has changed. A lot of things have been going on. I lost my voice for a while as well, so getting on camera would have sounded terrible. I mean, you could start to hear it in my latest videos, and my voice is going out, but it got pretty bad. So I'm back. My voice is back. I'm glad to be in front of the camera. Let's get into this. So you want BC Racing coilovers for your SI? Are they worth it? It's a good review of these coilovers. I've had them for about 4 months now, and I've had a lot of experiences with these coils and plenty of other coilovers. So let's do a quick overview of me. For example, my car, again, you clicked on the video or you're subscribed so you know, but we'll go over that. It is a 8th gen Honda Civic SI, so it is the FA5. It is a 2009 sedan version, the best version of the car, if you ask me. So facelift, all that stuff. So we're not going to get super far into that, but I've had plenty of experiences with coilovers, from eBay, $100 coilovers. When I bought some cars with those, they're terrible. I've bought Yonakas when I worked a part-time minimum wage out of high school sub shop job. I've driven teens, I've driven BCs, and I have gotten the opportunity to be on some Fortunautos before. And let me tell you, BCs are good coils. I'll just get that out of the way so you don't have to watch this entire video the whole way through. They're good coilovers. Because there's lots of hubbub about, they're bad, you're overpaying, you could just buy Godspeeds. I've driven Godspeeds as well. They are different. Even though maybe they're made by the same people that make Godspeed or whatever. Quality is much better. But let me get into exactly what I'm thinking. There are specific things that the BCs do well and not so well, depending on what specs you buy them, what series you buy them with. So this series is the BR series, and that is pretty much the cheapest baseline BC racing coils you can get. And for sake of being very transparent, they're basically the bottom of the barrel for BCs. Not meaning they're bad, because they're BC racing, they're very good. BCs were always my my dream coilover, if you will, as a kid. You know, when I got my my EG, I always wanted BCs for it. I never ended up getting them at the time. I still got time. It's still in the backyard, but BCs were always the coil I always wanted, right? BR is the first series, and it goes up to crazy. I think ZR is the highest, and it's absolutely wild. The BR starts at like $1,195, so about $1,200 in shipping. I luckily got shipping for free because it's such an expensive order. I think I got it off of caseseriesparts.com. Great website. I've had nothing but good things to say about them. Packaging, shipping, everything has been exquisitely fast. So BR, and it is the stock spring rates. Again, so I'm being very transparent. It is 6K front and 6K rear, which is a little soft. You know, usually you want, especially if you're going more track oriented, you want some stiffer spring rates. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a genius at setting up cars. I'm very much not. Very much learning as I'm going. But the vision with the SI is not to be a track car, unlike the EG in the back or future cars coming down the line. It's not the track car. It is the daily. That is an extremely engaging, fun car to drive, that if I were to want to, I could take it to the track. But right now, I'm only down to the one car. I'm not doing that right now. But you bet money that I will be recording it when that happens. So I did go with the stock spring rates. I kind of wanted to go 8K, 8K, or 8K, 10K for the rear if I was going way more aggressive. But again, stock spring rates at 6K, BR, and it does not have Swiss springs, and it does not have extreme low on the coilovers as well. So they are literally the base model coilovers that you buy from caseseriesparts.com, or if you just buy the coils off BC Racing's website and not modify them, that's what they are. And I will go into Swiss springs and why I kind of wish I got them. So let's get into that. So you may be watching this because you either have never had coils or you're looking to upgrade your coils. You've heard of BC, you always wanted them, yada, yada, yada. So you were saying, are they worth it? There's a lot of hubbub online that, like, they're not worth it. Depends what you want them for and how you modify them with. For example, so to go back, you know, the EG back there when I first bought it, it was my third car technically, I guess. Second car really. And it came with like $150, $100 eBay coils that just made it look low, and that's it. It's terrible. If there was a McDonald's lid on the road, I'd scrape over it. You know, it was absolutely ridiculous. So first purchase for those. So if you're looking to get eBay coils, just don't do it. I guess if you have a show car that sits there in one place and you don't have money for bags, sure, whatever. I mean, whatever. I wouldn't, but you know, that does it, I guess. It makes it look that way. Next step up, I got for that car. Right after that, I bought coils for it because I couldn't deal with it. I bought Yonaka coilovers. Those were $300 when I was working at that sandwich shop, making no money. And man, I tell you though, that $300 is I think those are the best coilovers in the world. They're the cheapest, best coilovers. They're still on that car now, and they're getting a little softer now, but I mean, I think it's been 3 years or more, and I daily drove that car for years. For about 2 years of that, I daily drove that car, and they did fantastic. So Yonaka, you guys did great. If you want Yonakas and you're a cheap person, you don't have much money, do it. Yonakas are great. I have driven Godspeeds. My friend has some Godspeeds on a Subaru. And let me tell you, BC and Godspeed are not the same, even though people say that. Megan Racing, Godspeed, and BC are the same. Yo, editing Wyatt here. Sorry for the horrible camera quality. I'm editing. I misspoke, and I don't want to get into controversies of me speaking wrong, so I don't want to give you guys wrong information. BC is a private company, and so they sell their stuff for white label, meaning they can sell their products to other companies so that they can label their stuff. I don't know the extent behind it, but that's why people say, you know, some companies. I did say certain companies, but I don't exactly know which ones. I'm pretty sure Godspeed is one of them. But they sell some of their products so they could label them, but they're like, it's different. It's a complicated issue that the controversy comes from, but that's why it's a controversy. You know, we don't know to what extent, and I can tell you from first-hand experience, they're not the same. Just wanted to clear the air. They are not. I'll tell you that now. Very different in the way they perform and handle, and just kind of quality. I wouldn't say it's exquisitely better, but it is better. Next up, I did drive Fortune Autos, and oh my gosh, with a car review that I drove, and man, I tell you what, right now, yes, those are the best coilovers I've ever driven in my life, but at the same time, we're spending over $2,000. And if you're watching this video on a review for BCs, you obviously don't have that much money to go drop on some Fortune Autos. If you do go buy the Fortune Autos, they're just really good coilovers. Next up is Teen. So Teen and BC are kind of like on that equal playing field, if you will, for me, and they do very different things to me. I had Teen Flex Z coilovers on my Miata right before I started this channel, so you guys didn't get to see the Miata. And I have, of course, BCs on the SI. And of course, the Miata is very different, a lot smaller. But Teens to me are where this thing comes into where, what do you want to do with this car? Is it going to be your full track car? Is it not going to be driven very much on the road? Is it your weekend warrior, kind of stuff like that? For example, Teen are pretty good quality. I feel like adjusting the ride height with Teens are kind of a pain. They're kind of frustrating. They weren't my thing. It was just a headache. Anytime I had to go adjust it, I was just like, come on. They make it kind of complicated for no reason. I mean, it's not too bad, but it takes a lot more time than, let's say, BC Racing. BC Racing, you know, if I had to go adjust them, it's kind of like, well, damn, I got to do that. But it doesn't take very long at all. When we installed those, we did the ride height so wrong so many times. So we got really good. It took us 7 minutes by the end because we did it so much to jack it up, take wheels off, adjust it, put wheels back on, and bring it down. 7 minutes. It doesn't take long at all. So there's that. But Teen is more for me, way more aggressive, way stiffer. You're gonna feel it in your back. They are not a smooth riding coil. Yes, they do have dampening as well as the BCs do, but even on full soft, for me, the Flex Z's anyway, are very aggressive. They did the job extremely well. That car had 0 roll, period. It was the flattest ride of my life. That car rolled nothing. I felt every bit of anything the road is trying to tell me, and the tires and everything. Connection to those coils were fantastic, but driving it just like a normal human being was brutal. You know, any kind of bump at all on the road you're feeling. If you're going over those dips in the road, because let's face it, if you're watching, maybe you live in America, we got roads tromped by dinosaurs. They suck. So I mean, you're feeling it. It's so bad. You know, when the car bumps, your gas pedal gets pushed, so you just blah 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 blah, and then it just gets worse. You know, like it's that kind of ride. Sure, it had a very large spring rate, I'm pretty sure, but it was just extremely backbreaking. So it's like, if you wanted to go full track, Teens are very good, and this is where BC kind of comes in. I feel this is maybe a hot take again. This is the BR series, and this is with stock spring rates and no Swift springs. Swift springs are stiffer, and you can get higher spring rates. So then you could probably go like the Teen Flex Z kind of way, where they are just backbreaking and unforgiving by and large, but with the stock BCs, which might be what you guys might be wanting to get. They definitely roll more. They aren't Flex Z status that I drove on the Miata. Mind you, this is a bigger car too, weighs a lot more, weighs like 1,000 pounds more, and it's taller. So, higher center of gravity, things roll a little more. I'm aware of that. But they do roll more. It doesn't have as high of a spring rate as those teens did, and in fact, so you're kind of making a trade-off that you're going to roll a tad more. But when I say roll, I'm not talking about it. It's not like it's horrible. They are extremely well with riding. They ride very well, which is something that I've had a question on one of my shorts. Say, how do the BCs ride? And I told them they ride almost stock, and I'm serious. Now, if you went and got brand new shocks from Honda and put them on and everything, they would not ride like stock, like over bumps and all that. But I mean, my car's hitting 140,000 miles now. It's really sad. Those shocks were gone, man. I mean, they weren't gone, but they were getting tired, off of a lifetime of driving hard in corners, doing the Honda thing. And they were getting a little rough, they were. And I tell you what, these BCs ride better than those stock shocks were getting at that point. It takes bumps extremely well. It's very well dampened over almost any bumps, unless it's just a full-on cliff, you're going off road with them. But they ride just extremely well, and they still keep you planted in corners. You're still rolling a little bit, but I mean, it keeps you planted, and you really do get to feel the road a lot more than with the stock suspension. And mind you, I drove the stock suspension for about 9 months, I think, 9-10 months on stock suspension, because I've had the car over a year now, maybe more than that. It might have been close to a year on the stock suspension, so I really got a handle on how that feels. And mind you, the stock suspension on the SI isn't that bad. I think it does pretty good for being pretty stiff but comfortable. And that's exactly what the BCs are going for. So really, if you're looking to get BCs to be your coilover that you want to daily drive and have some fun with on the weekends or whatever like that, you will not go wrong with these. I've been extremely happy with that. I was worried that they would be too stiff. I've heard some people say that, and I don't know their background, like if they've only driven really, really well riding cars. But if you're watching this, you probably drive an 8th gen currently and on stock suspension or other coils, and I'm telling you, they won't be worse than the other coils you're on. They'll probably be better. And if you're on stock suspension, it's gonna ride about the same with the bumps, if not a little better, if your struts are going out a little bit. So I've been extremely happy with that, and you just get so much more. You get more grip, you get more stability, you feel more confident in the car because you feel everything more. It does roll less, so you get to feel weight transfer. It feels fantastic. If I were to go back, I would buy Swift Springs, and I would get a higher spring rate for the rear, and probably for the front. I would like to go 8K in the front, and I probably would have gone 10K in the rear, I'm not going to lie. I personally like very stiff cars. I may have regret that, because that might be too stiff for a daily driver. But at least 8K and 8K. 6K is just a little soft for my liking, just because I like very stiff cars. But even that being said, with 6K, I mean, if you're going off of a driveway that isn't even that steep, and your front tire dips off, you are poking that rear right tire in the air. Like, it is stiff enough to do that. Mind you, I do have a 24mm Progressor sway bar in there now, so it might be because of that too. I don't really know. I bought the sway bar a few weeks, if that, after the coils, so they blended well together. But that is one thing I'd say to do if you guys have an engine. Buy a sway bar. A rear sway bar makes a world of a difference, especially if you are trying to track your car, drive it harder, a weekend warrior. I would honestly do sway bar before you even do coilovers, and that way you can get coilovers, and then you can get an alignment with the sway bar in there. Excuse me. That's what I would do, but if you do want your car to look lower and everything as well, go for it. But I'm serious, the sway bar Probably made more of a difference than the coilovers did, just with the stiffness on the rear, and I love it. So honestly, that is a really good strategy if that's what you want. If you want the same kind of deal with your car, with mine, daily, that you have some fun with sometimes, maybe take the track if you want, I would do it. Get some BRs. I would throw Swift springs on there, but maybe it would be too stiff that way. So get the stock BC Racing coils with the normal springs at 6K, and then they get a Progress 24 millimeter rear sway bar on the stiffest setting, and have a blast. It's a fun car. And I wish I could talk more on, are they as good at the track if you got Swift springs and a higher spring rate? I wouldn't doubt it. The build quality on these are fantastic. Not a single thing was wrong with them. There wasn't missing parts, missing bolts. There wasn't anything wrong with it. They have a year warranty that comes in the box with it, with everything you need to know, so you can do that as well. They look beautiful. Everything's very nice with them. So that's really what I want to say. They do their job well depending on what you want them to do. If you want to go full race car, spec them right, get those Swiss springs and raise that spring rate up, and I think you'll really enjoy them. But at the same time, it's a high price. They start at $1,200 with those modifications with custom spring rate and Swift springs. You're probably, I don't know, $1,600. That's a shot in the dark, but I feel like that's not too far off. $1,600, you're getting up there. You're getting closer to some Fortune Auto ranges. So at the same time, if you want just full track car, maybe you should look into the teen area, where you're looking around $800 for some really aggressive ones already. But I can't speak for that. Do your research on track BC racing kind of coil deal. But if you are really looking for a weekend warrior, the daily driver, as I've said a million times, you cannot go wrong with these. They look fantastic. They feel fantastic. The quality is amazing. They ride extremely well. They're not rattling or clunking all over the place. I hear some clunking, but that is from my sway bar. It's so thick, it's against part of the frame, but that's not the coils. It's the big sway bar I have in the back. They are exquisite, very good coils, and I really have almost nothing to say that is in vain of them. I've enjoyed them thoroughly. They are my favorite coilovers that I have driven to date for my application that they are in. If we're talking about aggressive, crazy track driving, the teens were my favorite. Obviously, Fortunatos were the favorite, but that is out of my range. That's not in my bracket, if you will. So that is my opinions on BC. And I do also have to say, before we log off, if he does watch this video, Adam, I reviewed his car months ago. It's on my channel. He has that red EJ Civic, that amazing track-focused EJ with the B16 in it, that rips to the moon. That car has BCs as well, and he has, I think, 10K in the rear. He may comment to correct that. I think he has 10K in the rear and 8K up front, what I wanted to do to my SI. And man, those felt amazing. He did have sway bars as well, so though I know those do a lot, but they are fantastic. So if you're looking at getting them, I'd say go for it. It's an expensive price, but I tell you what, they're very nice. Comes with a nice BC Racing sticker you can slap on and look pretty cool. But that's all I really do got to say about that. Hope you guys enjoy. I hope I've helped you. If you now want BCs, or I've steered you clear, like maybe you don't feel like you really want them anymore and you want to go teen. Of course, this is not a sponsored video at all, but that's really all I gotta say. I hope you guys enjoyed. I do want to bring you some more videos real soon. I have a couple of topics that I do want to continue to talk about in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. Maybe get a POV with Nez again, that would be great. Or another car coming soon, maybe. I got some future plans coming. that you guys may be pretty surprised about. I'm very excited to bring that content if it works out. I got that coming up the weekend after next, so I'm very excited for that. Let's do this. I think it'll be surprising to the channel. I don't think you guys are going to see it coming. It's going to be very fun. So with that, on Project Radium, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. All right, real test time. Okay. Hey, dudes. Is this better?